I think we're tough session after the lunchtime. My job is to keep everyone awake. If it does, then we are, we are in sustainable business. Awesome. Jokes apart. So we have extreme panel here, and we have a panel from right from the pharma to food to recycle, uh, beauty and hair and everything here. And I'm a food guy, okay? I'm not a packaging guy. So, and I want to understand more. I'm a food guy, I understand the food part, but for me, always worry about the all other things, my packaging is good or not. So I'm here to ask all difficult questions about my food packaging. I was hearing before Mr. Sa was talking about the food and talking about the chips and the shelf life of that. I'm the one who always asks this question to my packaging colleagues about all those things. So, and then become more sustainable on those, they become more challenging. Getting a food packaging, sustainable shelf life, 5 months, 6 months, 1 year, export, maybe 2 years, we talk about those. And now sustainable on that become very difficult. So you have all those interesting discussion to talk about today. And I do follow a lot of political things which are going to happen or happening around the globe. So seeing what Modi is talking about, what happened in Azerbaijan, in Baku, what happened in this in November, our commitment on this. So we're just talking about those things, and let's talk about business, how this turned into business end of the day. Right? So my first question is to actually Aditi ma'am, we work a lot on beverages. So I'm asking all the questions which is hitting to me directly. Okay, so I always feel people in beverage talking about, can I do a repad? Can I do a recyclable pad? Is it possible to do this? So I just want to hear the story of the repad, all this recyclable pad, and how does you come in picture in that? How the story thing happened behind that? I do a lot of startup things, so I want to always hear the story behind it. So I want to hear the story first and then come to this recyclable part.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. The question Ritesh asked was, how does a recycler come into the picture in a packaging conference? Why are we talking about recycling? I'll give you a little bit more context. Everything that we see today when we talk about our economy, demand, supply, profits, everything that we talk about today, I think fundamentally 200 years back when industrial revolution happened, everything started at that time. When we started producing so much that we could cater to demand of every human being that was present and was going to come on the planet. Today, we have produced so much and we have the capability to produce so much, but what will we do after we produce all of that? Right? We package all our products into different types of materials and take it to the consumers. But what happens after that? Today, it is a need to really think about the economic models that take, make, waste, linear economic model. That was the need of the hour 200 years back, but it is not the need of the hour today. And that's why a recycler comes into the picture. Until now, we were like the fungi. We were like, in nature, we draw parallels to a fungi who basically recycles and converts something which was waste for nature into a resource again. That's exactly what we are doing today. I'm from Ganesha Ecosphere. Our brand is Go Revise. We are the largest PET bottle recyclers of India, and now also becoming the largest food-grade PCR manufacturers for rPET. When we talk about packaging, it is not just a story where consumers are demanding for sustainable packaging. Now, even the government and every international body is demanding this out of countries and all the economies, that if you want to continue your growth, you need to figure out a sustainable way to continue growing at that speed. And that is again why government has placed these rules like the extended producer responsibility, which holds every producer accountable for the packaging that they are producing. And that's again where we come into the picture. Thanks to the technological innovation, thanks to all the development that we all human beings have done, that waste can now be recycled and again converted, decontaminated and converted into food-grade packaging again. And that is exactly where we come into the picture. A little bit introduction about why we are here and what we are trying to help you as a solution.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to the pharma here. Um, so, like pharma people think is I'm very much careful. It's going to my intravenous, going to my blood and everything. People get scared with the pharma. After seeing the COVID, we are more scared than any time ever. How this all sustainable, environmental governance, how this all this comes in a pharma? Like, how do you take this?
Well,
Especially when it's an API, I'm more worried then.
yes. So I'm from a pharmaceutical industry basically, and from the API side, where we manufacture the active pharmaceutical ingredient, we call it bulk drugs. 20 years back, 25 years back, nobody talked about environment, and recycling was a unknown topic. Then single or recycling came. Then one more R added, reuse came. And then they talked about the source later, then reduce came. And now at least 6 hours or 7 hours have come. So repair, right, whatnot, remanufacture, repurpose. So over the years, we have evolved, and especially when we talk about pharmaceutical company, among many industries, we are monitored so closely by the government, by the regulatory authorities, and also we are much concerned about the patient safety. So before we take up any small change, unless it is researched well, known well, we do not take the risk of directly jumping into any change. So at the same time, we have many examples elsewhere all around the country where recycling has advanced, research has advanced, and there are solutions. At the same time, in India, we are trying to catch up. So I'm not giving India a poor light, rather. So for that matter, India has the maximum number of US FDA approved companies in the world next to US itself. That means we have shown to the world we are top in the quality aspect and we can catch up any quality requirements. But having said that one, we do have some practical challenges with respect to recycling, to what extent we can recycle, to what extent we can guarantee there is a consistent quality supply all through the time we need. So with this, I'll limit myself for the next few questions and to my colleagues.
Okay, I go to the ma'am here on the coil, ma'am on the L'Oreal, and my family is big fan of your brands. So seriously, why pay for them? So I understand like L'Oreal have a big commitment and always see, and they will always teach the customer about the new things. Like I remember one fine day when my kid came to me and what is hyaluronic acid? I'm like, oh my God, how did you learn about this? They talk about TVC and they're teaching us about this. So very excited to know like a company who does a lot of innovations in the product domain, like how they are doing in a sustainable way or how they're doing in a packaging format. And you're leading this. I want to understand what is the company they are doing it.
Yeah, thank you, Ritesh. Yes, for us in beauty packaging as well, this is very, very important to have innovation and to be ahead of time. For us, when we do innovation, it's always about life changing into the consumers' habits, how we can really get into new habits for the consumers. Of course, the promotions, the communications, this is very, very important so that it really becomes a fruitful and impactful innovation for all of us. Anything else? Thank you.
Yeah, ma'am from Candor, ma'am, like we are a big fan. We always buy the good dates and other seeds from you, and we also buy. Like what Candor is currently doing in a packaging format. Just want to understand the context first, what you are doing it, because you have multiple products and multiple SKUs for every product, and they all are short shelf life products. So how about you're talking about sustainable things or packaging thing in your company? How are you doing it?
So just a general introduction about the company. I'm from Candor Foods, and Candor Foods is into dry fruit, seeds, nuts, dates. So varied shelf life of the product, where nuts have larger shelf life, dates have shorter shelf life. And we also process these food to make energy bars and so on. With all this, we have 3,000 plus product list with us that we manufacture or repack. So packaging is one important format for Candor Foods where we cannot do without it. And every product has varied packaging type. Example, dates will have flexible packaging, will also be packed in rigid packets, or it will also be packed in a sustainable package like craft containers. So we have varied packaging formats also. And packaging has been very crucial for us. And we are also a trendsetter because with so many product lists, and we are suppliers to all the modern trade in India. With that, we make way for others where they can explore. We create for them, and they can explore and adapt the new packaging that we are setting the trend with. So packaging is very important for food industry otherwise also.
Absolutely, I'm with you. Absolutely. Yeah, Vishal, like no introduction required for the Cadbury's in India. Everyone knows Mondelez. So I was reading some about your commitment, Mondelez commitment, India and globally about the sustainable things. Just want to share top lines. Anything you want to share to the contest, to the people? What are top line things you're talking about in sustainable things, packaging especially?
Right. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for the invitation and warm welcome here. I think, as you rightly mentioned, it's Mondelez. We represent a very vibrant brand, present in more than 135 odd countries, brand of 100 plus different mega brands of Cadbury's, Five Stars, Perks, Toblerones, Milka around the world. And as such, as one of the largest happy moments creating organization, it is also a very responsible organization in terms of ensuring, firstly, the snacking should be made right. And in terms of making it right, it also means that it should be packaged right. Now, in terms of our goals about sustainability, it's difficult to call out country by country because we aren't a listed entity in each of the countries. But globally, we've got a lot of initiatives in terms of reducing our packaging waste, whether it is as stringent as reducing 25% of our rigid plastic by 2030, or as complicated as 5% introduction of 5% PCR into our packaging by 2025. So we don't shy away from our responsibilities while we also try to create best moments for our consumers.
So can we share more the product, also the packaging now? Yeah. My question to you, Aditi, ma'am, like, so we like, there's a lot of misconception around the circular economy on the packaging. But at the same time, we also see some Modi jackets, and Modi ji wear the jackets like on most of like forums, international forums, and I'm a big fan. And I always wonder, how can everyone have these jackets like around me? So it's an example here, which I'm not to quote any of the political parties, but understand the misconception around the circular economy and how the plastic can be used. Can you throw more light on how the thing really happen in the industry, and what are challenges you face there?
Okay, so I'll address the first part first, that where all do we see plastic or recycled plastic, I would rather say. So I would say, sitting in this hall, 60 to 70% of this hall is probably made out of plastic, and recycled plastic as well. These bottles, when you drink water from this and throw it away, for the last 30 years, we have been recycling these PET bottles into various types of articles. One is definitely in the textile industry. So all these carpets, all this proofing, everything that you see, which is in any fiber, fabric, yarn type of format, is probably plastic. Because that material was downcycled, and till now it was a cheaper material, right? So everybody was probably, instead of buying polyester made out of virgin plastic, they were always buying polyester made out of recycled plastic. Now, with technological innovation, better and more technologically advanced recycling facilities and recycling technologies are available, which make even possible to make a bottle out of a bottle. So all of your packaging, may it be beverage packaging, may it be any oil packaging, may it be a personal care packaging, may it be the bags that you carry, and actually the bags that you're carrying today that says our climate is changing, are you? So all of those are also made out of this recycled plastic only. So we have come to a point where everything probably that we are using is plastic, and instead of using, extracting those resources from earth, it is only wise to recycle what we already have and use it in the best possible way. Now, to answer the second part of your question, so probably that is why it is so ubiquitous, and everywhere you see even Modi ji wearing all these recycled plastic jackets, etc. Now, to second part of your question, where are we moving forward from here? So, with better technologies, we are getting to a point where we can truly create these circular mechanisms. So, not every plastic bottle that you drink from need to be downcycled into fabrics. It can be put into the loop, and this is what a closed loop system that we were also discussing about, you might be hearing about in various forums as well. And now is the opportunity to create those closed loop system where the same resource can be used to make the same type quality of the end product as well. So that is where we are heading, where, to make this new bottle, I don't have to extract new resources. I can just use this resource to make a bottle again, and again.
Thank you. And I'm more worried when I put this bottle in a trash can. And someone is taking care of this now. Okay. Yeah, Sam sir, understand understand from you, so pharma is again very, very critical, and when talk about API becomes so critical. So how you actually do it, and when talk about the shelf life again, talking about the toxicity things, all things come so important in pharma. So when you talk about sustainable thing, first thing, how difficult is to tell the management or talk to your people in ecosystem that you are doing this, okay, first thing, and how you actually do it at the ground level, how you ensure that you can use a sustainable material or other things or recycle, how you do this in pharma?
That's a real good question. See, in pharmaceutical industry, so this is a fact, India has the maximum number of zero liquid discharge plants. Anywhere else, they have treatment plants, but not totally zero liquid discharge. We could fairly have a reasonable answer with respect to zero discharge of water. Coming to plastics or other waste or hazardous waste, zero waste is still a process. It is in phases. Coming to zero plastic, since plastics, somebody would be wondering why we are little lopsided or towards plastic. Don't we use anything else? Yes, we do use plastics, glass, metal, paper, and many other things. But among all these packaging materials, plastics has the major footprint. That's the reason probably we are talking more on that. And myself coming from a kind of pharmaceutical API vertical, the bulk of packaging material is plastic, because the amount of plastics that we receive from the suppliers as raw materials. So you'd be really wondering how it really happens. Truck loads of raw materials we receive in carboys. So we unload the raw material, use the raw material, and throw the carboys in the scrapyard. Okay. And then we'll buy new carboys to pack our finished product. So we buy new ones, pack it in the brand new, good quality, all those stuff in that carboys, and then send it to the customer where they throw it in the scrapyard. So what a colossal waste. So instead, she was giving a classical example. So instead of downcycling that, we can look at recycling options. So presently we are working at some options. When the supplier is giving the raw materials in carboys, why can't the same carbide can be used in the finished product selling? So our quality guys might say, oh, there's a concern. Right, so we'll deal that at the second step. First step, where is the possibility of using that in intermediate containers? So there is a huge need for that, so use there. So option one. Option two, when we send this one, when we ensure that good cleaning is in place, we can directly reuse that one. And now customers are quite aware of these needs. They are going to accept that. It is still in the process. Thirdly, whatever we put it in the scrapyard, the person who is the agent, he collects that. So we have come up with the option like all these carbides, if it is shredded, instead of taking 10 loads of carbides, you need only 3 loads of shredded plastics. So who can take it further to a processor or a third party who will process that, convert that into beads, and recycle back into the same container which we want of the same quality, because we are ensuring there's the same material going there. Next option, instead of 3 truckloads, if we have a small facility, if we can convert that into beads in situ, in the plant itself, instead of 10 trucks, rather than 3 trucks, 1 load of beads only it's going to cost. So this is going to have a huge say on your transportation, emissions, sustainability, circularity, LCA, and whatnot. You can have all the footprints drastically reduced through these mechanisms. Okay, so who is going to take the call? So I'm a kind of person from the EHS and ESG aspect. So unless the quality person, unless the consumer, everybody agrees to this one. So these, and one more thing, we do not have an working example elsewhere. So that's why I'm reaching out to many people to get this going and convert that into a workable process, which you have. And I tell you, in the initial project, I could see there is a very clear savings, because end of the day, management or any CEO or chairman definitely understand in terms of money. Sustainability also has to be converted into money language, financial language. Then it really sells off with a good ROI or break even. So definitely we have seen this has a very good ROI if it is done on scale. So this is a very good project, looks to be very much feasible, and I look forward from good examples and other supports from the audience as well, so that we can take it forward, which can have a real sustainability impact without greenwashing or green hushing or whatever it is.
Awesome. So doing a circular thing, getting carbon credit, getting some money, like saving for the company, and getting all brownie points. This is exactly good. This is what whole sustainable things. When you talk about, is it impossible, nahi kar sakte, nahi hoga. This is the way we can do it. I mean, a very good example, and I love these examples. My next question to you, like Koila ma'am, like how you do this? Like, so these are the API people not seeing it, but you obviously everyone's seeing it. Like Ashura is behind the people who are seeing this, all this product. How difficult for you, or how did you take care in this company, like in your company? So how you talk about sustainable things, or what are the barrier you think with the consumer when they adapt to such sustainable things?
So when it comes to beauty packaging, we have typical barriers when it comes to sustainability. Beauty means in consumers' mind, it's like the packaging itself should also be beautiful. When it comes to the packaging, the kind of barriers that we see, number one, the product, the formulation, this is having some key ingredients that definitely makes you look beautiful, make your hair beautiful. And those ingredients, that also requires certain barrier properties. So to have and define that kind of a material, it's very difficult to really have recyclability. So we work with our partners to manage to have those barrier properties incorporated, as well as to have the recyclability. Yeah, so this is one. Then number two, if you see, moving forward, we are seeing more and more accessible packs, small formats. We say beauty for all, so definitely accessibility is going to be a key. Yeah, we need to really make it more and more accessible. This is the way forward. Now with that, small packs, how the sorting will happen in the recycling system. For example, the small packs of a tube or a bottle, the small cap, where it will get ended up. In landfill. So this is another challenge that we really see. Yeah. Then if you see broadly, we have very different legislations all across geographies. So for example, if we are producing our product in one country and then we will be selling in another country, we have to really see what kind of norms are there. And then accordingly, we really have to work on it and then design it. So it's really very, very difficult. Then consumers, they also play a very big role. Ultimately, they are the ultimate buyers, and we have to really convince them. When it comes to personal care or hygiene products, even for example, hair care, consumers are open for refill packs because then their microbial challenges are not really that big. But when it comes to, let's say, face care and all, so in certain segments, in certain zones, it's very difficult for the consumers to really adapt to it. Of course, for face care, we also have really kind of recharge and all, that works there. Then ultimately the cost of it. So how the cost angle will be taken care of. So these are really the barriers that we see in packaging. And as I said, that beauty packaging means the packaging should also look beautiful. That means it really needs good decoration as well. So moving forward, we also look at even having decoration, which is also sustainable decoration. At least it will give lower emissions. Yeah, so there are really plenty of challenges that we see every now and then while working on sustainability for beauty packaging. And I think this is also the same that we see all across. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Love to hear that. Like, ma'am, like, just want to hear from your perspective. Like, so I'm hearing the story from the farmer, hearing the story from L'Oreal, like, and food. Like, we always talk about the food, and we always say less is the more. No, like, less the packaging, more better it is now. The consumer look like. And with the Candor, what sort of things you are doing it differently in terms of the packaging or sustainable things? I'm putting a very broad question to you because you have so many things to do it. And we always see the product format, but also understand the packaging format, what you're doing differently there. Anything on sustainable side you're talking about? Something with less you giving to the customer in terms of the packaging? How is happening in Candor? Like?
So as you rightly said, less is more. Less is more is a concept which is ingrained in Indians. So by nature, Indian follow this concept, less is more. Jahan pe, we have heard a lot about these sayings, or we have done it, where we purchase a cloth which is passed on from our generations down and finally repurposed in our kitchens for cleaning purpose. So this is common with Indians, and it has been followed since generation. And this concept of less is more that is ingrained by Indians, we capture that, we process that concept in our factories to pass on this purpose of less is more in our processes by reusability of the product. So like instead of flexible packaging, we may give PETs, which is being reused many a times. And through our labels, we make them aware that you can reuse, and we give them purposes how you can reuse. So reusability is a concept which we follow for less is more. Also, this gives an extended life cycle to our material. So we use the material to the fullest of its life. Definitely we don't close the loop, but it is still in the circular economy. And apart from that, we ourselves as producers, we maximize the utility of the resources by this way. Also, the suppliers that we deal with, whom we take the raw material, we look into the concept who are also following the same, who follow the same philosophy, who also believe in maximizing the resources, reducing their waste, and increasing the efficiency of product. So, for example, one of our vendor in laminates, the sides which get wasted, he recycles immediately in the factory without going for a second process and consider that as a virgin resin, and which is used by food industry because there is no contamination. That waste has not left his factory. It immediately goes into a bin from where it is recycled. So we look out for suppliers like that to maximize the utility. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Like every country, my personal observation, I may be totally wrong. Please don't misquote me. But we always seen every country talk about different thing about sustainable things. We talk about more from the Scandinavian countries. They more talk about the greenhouse and the planet. We talk more about the other part of the world. They talk more about the social accountability, the working conditions, the people who are working, the age group. They all talk about all those things. Just to share on this same example, whenever I go to Candor, I always see there's so many women empowerment there. When I go to factory, ma'am, I always feel so proud, but I'm the only guy there standing there. All the entire, the floor is all like led by women. And they're so smart, they exactly know how to run every machine. Right from a floor machine to a bar forming machine or making machine. We should really heads off to the management, the way they do women empowerment. I'm really proud of the Candor. I was give example about the way you did it. Yeah, thank you, remarkable. Yeah. So I just want to continue the things and want to understand. Is any case studies or anything you can talk about where we know something is done? And I'm talking, I know you have a global position, and you're talking about the Asia Pacific, Middle East, whatever. Anything which we proud of, or think people have done, or you've saved money, or done something good for the earth, something we can talk about. Any example like that?
So I think this is something available in public domain which I can talk about. Very recently, and the journey started in 2022, wherein we decided that we'll start using chemically recycled resin in our packaging portfolio. Although not regulated in India, but in other countries, matured markets like Europe and Australia, we have started doing that. And in 2022, we first introduced our chocolate in Australia, which had 30% PCR content in its packaging film. And last year, end of last year, we scaled that up after having tested and learned that how does the supply chain move around it, how does the availability move around it. We scaled it up to 50%. And then by this year end, we are moving to 100%. So, and it's already there in terms of a particular category of chocolate. So I'm not saying that entire packaging is 100% recycled, but a particular category of product has 100% recycled resin associated. So it's always important to understand where the supply chain and the availability can find the balance. Now, I think finding the balance is not the correct word. Balance is not something that you find. It's something that you will have to create. Until and unless you create a balance of availability and usability, only then you will find the right consumers accepting it.
I got it, absolutely. One thing I always notice, whatever comes in the globe always come to India. Be a trend, be a beauty thing or a food thing, we do follow international trends in India. So if they are doing sustainable things, I'm sure, I won't be surprised 2026, 27, we can talk about a silk guy talking about, okay, I'm sustainable packaging here, and yeah.
And it's there on the packs. So consumers can actually scan the QR code, understand. I think a couple of sessions before there was a lot of talk about not only doing sustainability, but educating on sustainability. So one of the things that we've incorporated is, it's not that we are calling out on every pack that this is sustainable product. No, scan the QR code and understand how did this particular packaging ended up as a sustainable packaging. It's also very important to educate the customers and take the maturity level of the consumers to an acceptability level, which is where I think developing market like us are currently struggling, because we haven't started that mindset shift which will enable us to do a material shift.
Well, my limited experience with these things are changing with the millennials, at least in the cities and metros. Maybe I would see it more for the Gen Z. They talk about sustainable things. They feel more happy when they're at L'Oreal, and they feel more happy though they're talking sustainable stories. So, this catching up. I'm sure, you have a very wide audience. You gather right from a village of 1,000 people to maybe city like Mumbai. So, yeah, tough. Yeah, going back, ma'am, just, sorry. But want to understand, we're talking about the pack nest. We just want to understand what are the new frontiers coming in the packaging. What is the next thing you're looking in a packaging? How this is going to be like? What do you think?
So the next biggest innovation in recycling and packaging is actually happening now. As we speak, if I only talk about PET, which is just one form of plastic, one type of plastic, there's almost a capacity of 5 lakh metric ton of food grade recyclers who are coming in by next year to help you again use PCR in your packaging. That would be the biggest innovation where the whole economic model itself is changing. The other things, if I have to talk about, throughout that supply chain and throughout that value chain and reverse logistic chain, there's so much that is happening. We have, so again, if we talk, when most of the panel members here are servicing the consumers and fulfilling their demands. But once the consumer is serviced, once that product is used, what happens to the packaging? That is that reverse value chain where a lot of innovation is happening now and will continue to happen as we create these circular business model. We have companies here like Recircle who are doing a lot of work and innovation in helping consumers so segregate. And if they haven't so segregated, they take care of segregation, etc., in a way so that when the material comes to a recycler, it is more recyclable. That increases our yields, that increases the recyclability and recycling rate of that material. And again, helping to that innovation channel where better quality PCR can be produced, better applications, that PCR can be used in more high value and better applications as well. So that would be the second part. Third would be something that Mr. Vishal was talking about, which is around educating the consumers. So these QR codes and digital product passports are now becoming a very core thing. So Europe has recently come up with eco-design rules where having the QR code with all the information around your packaging, around your product, around the end of life of that packaging, all need to be there and it should be accessible to the consumers. And DPP, this digital product passport, is another technological innovation that is coming into the picture. There are multiple studies, and even we were talking about some of these studies where Gen Z and millennial want to purchase a sustainable product, want to purchase something that is packed more sustainability, but they won't just trust you if you tell them that this is packed sustainability. You need to claim it in the right way. And DPP-like solutions are one of the best ways through which you can actually communicate and educate the consumer by all the initiatives that you have taken by using a better form of packaging, which is better for probably that consumer's health and also for the environment. So these are some of the things. The fourth frontier that I would talk about is technology itself. So like I was saying, 2 years back, we couldn't produce this consistent quality of PCR with the Indian post-consumer waste. Because in other countries, the waste itself is very clean. But here, I cannot imagine, picking up anything from the dustbin and then even thinking about, it touching my food. But today, the technology has become so advanced that you can make it food grade. And similar technological innovations are continuously happening. There's chemical recycling coming in. There's enzyme-based recycling coming in. We have companies here who are into enzyme-based recycling, which helps the segregation of materials. Today, one type of material can be recycled easily versus the other because the other material would probably be multi-layered, will be so blended that it is almost next to impossible to segregate it. But with these advanced technologies and innovation and R&D that is happening in the recycling space itself, you are able to segregate those blended materials even. And even textiles. Even textile is, so we keep talking about packaging recyclability, but even textile is going to become a huge recyclable market only because of this advanced technologies that helps in segregating the blended materials.
Very interesting. Good days ahead. Yeah. like, Kulma, I'm just bang back to you first. Like, we're talking about the consumer and talking about sustainable thing. I'm just continuing the discussion here, and I just want to understand from the consumer or your consumer, like when you talk about your product and talk about this code, that PZR code, right? The digital product password, yeah. All this code, I'm learning this with you, ma'am. So, like this, that, how did your consumer behave like this? Do they are ready to pay premium if anything goes with the premium with that? How those consumer behave like with sustainable things?
Okay, so I will split it into two parts. First part is about the consumer awareness. Yeah. So if we see today, thanks to the government policies and NGOs, the awareness on consumers, this is on a rise. So the consumers, especially the Gen Zs and millennials, they really understand it and then they accept it. Yeah, today it's not just, they are just buying a product, but before buying the product, they also do a research, thorough research. And on Insta, that's why you will see really like a lot of product reviews and stories and all. Consumers really go through it. Yeah, it's not really that easy like in the earlier days. Yeah. Then if you see it is there in the mind of consumers, then comes also brand reputation. The consumers, they feel that whenever the brand is selling some sustainable product or doing some ethical practices, the Gen Zs, they really get attracted towards those brands, and that gives a leverage to the brand to really play with it. Yeah, they can really position their products quite on a higher side. About the performance of the product and quality, when it is sustainable product, in the mind of consumers, it plays a role like this is more durable, this is higher in quality. So this is already a superior product in the mind of consumers. They also sometimes consider that sustainable products means this is going to be really very expensive than any regular product. Now, when we look at the price perspective of it, the economical equation, India is still a developing country. Here, if we see the economic equation, it's more for the lower ACCs. The acceptance or paying a premium for a sustainable product, it's way lower. But on higher ACCs, it's really way ahead. So consumers are really ready to pay for the premium for any sustainable product that they are going to buy in. Then the second part of it is about the value perception. It's not just the price that the consumer is paying for, it's also the value. Today, if you see in the hand wash, personal care industry, in the hand wash, we have the refill packs, the sachets, the pouches, and then there are also mother pack. Easily, you can decide that, okay, we'll go for the refill because this is way more cost effective. Yeah? But if you see that the refill and the mother pack pricing is very close, which one will you choose? You would definitely go for the mother pack. It's a rigid pack, it won't leak. Yeah, sachet is definitely not really that premium as the rigid pack. But if you can communicate the value that the consumer is making in by buying this refill pack, so that will really go a longer way. So this can only come through consumer communication and education, that although the price is very similar, but then buying this, you are really buying something which will have lower carbon emission, lower footprint. Yeah? Does that help? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So it's like last time we talked about like saving some money or getting some goodies from the company and you're saving money, right? Good point, we liked it. Talking about the consumer and the perception. Just want to talk about the pharma and we all talk about the safety in the pharma, which is so critical. So when these things comes in a pharma industry, like how the safety comes in picture, because there are a lot of strong protocols for the safety in food and pharma. Pharma is more strong protocol in food safety, pharma safety, like or product safety. How you tackle that, those things?
Yeah. With respect to safety, so I'd like to give a small example. So what I'm saying is that we need to see these things in a holistic way, not as a knee-jerk movement or a kind of initiative. There were many instances and accidents when the chemical drums, which are disposed in the scrapyard, and when that is on the name of recycling, is taken by some third party, and he is selling in the open market, in the market, and poor people who do not know what it contains, what toxic material. So we handle sodium cyanide, potassium cyanide, epichlorohydrin, so all kinds of hazardous toxic material. If that poor guy, if he is not ensuring the cleanliness of that one, detoxification of that one, so the community, the poor people are going to get affected, and there were many cases. So it all ensures or asks for how we can integrate all these points into the system. Recycling is not just somebody said, oh, I recycled the drum. What did he do? Took a drum, put a hole underneath, and put it for a plant guard. So that is not the recycling. So not in that sense. So when this session itself says value realization, right? So we need to bring in the principles of actual circularity. So are we really creating value? Number two, are we really retaining value in that one? Thirdly, are we extending the value? So these opportunities has to be seen in every process steps. So we need to look for those kind of opportunities. So what is the system that will help us identify? So there are many systems called ISO 14001, ISO 45001, and still this has become quite old. Rather, I would say it is obsolete without many of the recent concepts of circularity or net guidelines or SPTA. So there is no science-based approach. So now that it's in vogue is that science-based target initiatives. So the point I'm trying to make is that if we want to ensure safety, environment, health, and sustainability as a whole thing, we need to incorporate into the systems through aspects and impacts analysis, through life cycle analysis, from the cradle to the grave, or to gate to the gate. So this kind of systematic approach will really help in identifying all the possible, not only just for sustainability, it will give you n number of opportunities where you can save money, where you can improve quality, where you can definitely have a great, low-hanging fruit of all the sustainability with savings as well. So my personal recommendation would be a systematic approach would really help identify those things, and that will ensure safety. Hope I answered your question.
This always helps. There's the only way to do is process things. We have many shortcuts, but systemic approach always help, and there's the only way out, which I have seen in life so far. Absolutely.
Especially pharma, they say, unless it is documented, it is a rumor.
Yeah.
So we follow the cycle of PDCA: plan, do, check, and act.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. Like to understand, we're talking about the stories, how they engage the customer and the passcode which happened. How did you engage the customer about sustainable things? Did you also talk to a customer and talking about things, what you're doing internally, and talking about the story, or the sustainable things, or recirculation thing, or recycle thing? Did you talk about the stories to the customer about these?
Yeah, surely we do talk about these stories with a customer, but we don't have end users as a customer. We are B2B, so we the other business partner, the brand partners. So they have to basically communicate. But yeah, we do push our sustainable stories so that it could be communicated to the end users. And most of the modern trades are our clients. So through them, we do give our sustainability stories, as I right now told, that dates have many different packaging. So one of our modern trade partners have rotation of 15 days. So our dates have usually life cycle of 4 months to 6 months, but he just wants 15 days. So we have tried to reduce all type of plastic from there and just given a craft containers for the shelf life of 15 days, and trying our best to give, to change the mindset of consumer and saying that 1 month shelf life versus 4 month shelf life, the same product with different packaging, and giving the sustainable story there. So probably we can change the mindset here. And these are communicated by signets in the store. Even the salesperson in the store would be telling the same story, social media. But this all depends how the consumers are going to react. So no idea how it will go. Yeah.
Yeah, Vishal. Wait, some more interesting direct questions. Like, so we're reading about so much about sustainable things and the new materials and the rPET all coming in. So when Mondelez work, any of the non-traditional things what you're working on today, all the biopolymers, bioplastics, some agro waste, something you were talking about those things, like.
Uh, See, I think before even delving into the question whether Mondelez uses it or not, it's important to understand how a packaging material is selected, right? Just like there is a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, wherein a human tendency is till the time the first need is completed, you won't move to the next need. So that's something on a similar analogy, there's something that I called packaging hierarchy of needs. Till the time the first need is not completed, you won't move to the next need, right? The first need for a packaging is safety, right? Packaging should be safe, right? Second need is serviceability, right? The material that I want should be serviceable across the geography. Third need is suitability. Once I know that I can service this across, it should be suitable in a sense that it can be transported across, right? Most of the organizations in India are currently in these three stages, right? Couple of matured one would have moved to the fourth stage, which is called saving stage. Now that I know product is safe, serviceable, suitable, let me find savings out of it. And that is where procurement guys would sit across and find alternate solutions to it, right? Once all these four states are met, only then an organization would start thinking something on sustainability lines. And that is where we need to understand that firstly, that cooperation should be created. You know, that cooperation of conviction should be such that nobody could get there unless everybody should get there, right? The problem is every organization wants to run and be the first in sustainability, right? Without helping the others climb the last, earlier four steps. So whether Mondelez wants to do it or Mondelez doesn't want to do it or Mondelez is doing it is a secondary question. The first question is, where are we in the packaging hierarchy of needs as a country and as a packaging community in general, right? Now, taking a couple of examples, since you've asked specific about Mondelez, obviously, Mondelez has its own thought processes about selection of alternate packaging materials. And with the kind of materials that we deal within, or the products that we deal within, there are very limited options for us. So for the time being, our thought process is having to design the materials which are recyclable and utilizing less virgin plastic. So if you look at our reports, sustainability reports, they generally focus on two aspects, which is the material should be recyclable, and the material that we want to do is reduce the overall consumption. So it is more about reduction of virgin plastics.
I like the new 5S which you shared today. The way you shared today for the packaging. Lovely to hear that. And of course, like, we do all work together. Nobody can win together alone. Like, this is us. It's everybody's earth. It's not my or your earth. Absolutely. Sabke saath sabka vikas is what we always hear. Thing. Okay, I can take more questions. I just want to hear back from the audience. Any question which we can take to the panel? They're right here. Any questions from the audience? Anyone? We still have some time left with us. Oh, wow. Amazing. Huh? I'm glad they were so good, the questions after this discussion. Anyone here, like? Oh, I could have talked more. Yeah, please. Love to hear.
Hello, thank you for this amazing session. This is Akib Zaya from ExxonMobil. So I have this question from Aditi, Ganesha Ecosphere. So I just got to hear that you are working on food grade PET. So we are basically into polyolefins and we are kind of more into it. Just want to understand from a recycled PET perspective. Recently I read an article wherein there were a number of OEMs who has actually applied for USFDA certifications and only few were able to qualify them. So, talking about the technology advancement, how is it going in that direction in the first place? Do we have enough technology to actually implement those into bottle-to-bottle recycling? That's my question.
Yeah, thank you so much for your question. And yes, that is true. Even for us, it took 1 year to get all the licenses and approvals. So the regulation came in 2022, and the intimidation from government came in 2022 that now bottle-to-bottle recycling needs to start. But we registered our this new subsidiary for bottle-to-bottle recycling in 2019. So from then, we were trying to leverage the Indian post-consumer waste and do R&D on Indian post-consumer waste to make it food grade again. So we were one of the first 3 companies to get the FSSI and FDA approvals for bottle-to-bottle food grade material in India. There are multiple other companies, 12 companies that I can name on my hand, who are in line and who are about to get their licenses as well. So there's close to 1 lakh metric ton capacity that is already approved for food grade bottle-to-bottle capacity. In the next 6 months timeline, we are expecting 2 more lakh metric ton capacity to be approved. And by 2026, that the staggered growth seems like it will be 5 lakh metric ton for bottle-to-bottle only. So yeah, these approvals are obviously not easy to get. And we have been talking about safety. So safety is the most important thing when you talk about food grade recycled material. So I would urge the government and the bodies and the auditors to ensure that the quality and the audits are very, very thorough. And not, so in India, we have more than 400 recyclers, and not all of them are going to produce a material that can be made food grade again. So these norms needs to be very strong and very stringent so that at the end of the day, what is coming to consumer, like we just believe, okay, it has a BSI registration, it has a FSI approval, so it will be safe for us. So it needs to be that stringent so that, not anybody can sell anything which is food grade. Any other questions? Otherwise, I think we can wrap. Yes, please.
Good evening. Myself, I'm Krunal Goda from Anant Tatwa. So when it comes to the production capacities of coming up in the recycling part, production capacity is one part. PET per se, we are doing 90% of the recycling part of it. As you have correctly pointed out that there are 400 recyclers who are there and everyone is getting into it. The material sourcing is a big challenge and the consistency and supplies would be a larger challenge for that 5 lakh metric tons to fulfill. Especially when we speak about that, it's not just the PET for bottle to bottle, but also bottle to fiber is a bigger market also coming up. And the jumbo bag people, they are going in a different league altogether. How is that the brands can look at on the supplies when we see a 5 lakh metric ton plus the compliance fulfillment? Because again, the compliance speaks about the fulfillment of the compulsory usage, but there are relaxation also been provided in certain clauses. So that's where I want to just ask that how do you manage the material sourcing and the compliance fulfillment? Probably you could answer that. And from the brand side, if somebody could answer when the implementation part would come in, because they are the real sufferers on the cost part as well.
Thank you so much for your question. And definitely when we talk about all the challenges, the supply side for us and the procurement of that raw material will become a challenge, because today that same model is serving 2 different industries. But like I said, this is one of the biggest shifts that we have seen in our lifetimes in the packaging space, in the recycling space. today, bottles are going, most of the bottles are only used for bottle to fiber recycling. It has been a very recent development that bottle to bottle recycling can be done, and it is now being commercialized. So that balance of that equation is definitely going to change. And all that, so everything that was made into fiber is also now starting to get recycled. Even we as Ganesha, we have been a bottle to fiber recycler, and we are now trying to recycle that fiber as well, so that the textile industry will actually be circular, and textile waste can go into textile applications again, and similarly bottle waste can go into bottle waste again. Now again, this is a very ideal situation. This will not happen in 100% of the cases. Even today, the FSSI norm says that if I have to make a food grade bottle, I have to use only 95%, I have to use at least 95% food grade material only. The bottles and the bales that I procure today contains every type of material. So at my end, again, I have to sort. So only the food grade bottles go into the food grade material. Rest of the bottles again go into the fiber applications. So again, those are two ways in which these economies will create that shape and again set balance in its due course. Thirdly, what's going to happen is, as we are creating all these norms, etc., the usage is also increasing many, many folds. There's going to be 250 lakh metric ton of just PET that will be generated when we say Bharat will become Vikasit in 2047. That is huge. And in my view, that production capacity that we will have in the coming years is going to serve both the industries. Definitely, there will be imbalances as we create that new balance, but I think we are consuming enough and wasting enough for every industry to cater. Any viewpoint from brand side?
So from brand side, definitely first question comes is cost here. And nobody wants to pay the cost. India is a cost-sensitive market. No businesses, no brand, no consumers. None of them want to pay. And when I sit with the modern trade, I fight for a paisa. So yeah, cost is one big thing that we do face an issue. And about the consistency in the material that we don't, because I had an order in year 2022 when we had FIFA World Cup. So I had to supply biodegradable material for the FIFA World Cup order at Qatar. And the requirement was quite huge. That time, there were very few suppliers. Like, I had to hunt for the suppliers. No one single supplier could give me the material that I needed. So I had to procure from 3 of them, and all the 3 had different qualities that was given. So yeah. The standard cannot be maintained that time. Now, I don't know, it was a very, very initial stage. In future, I think we can do it well.
Yes. Just to add on that and build on that, see, due diligence and accountability is something that will have to be taken care of when you start going into the circular or a closed loop economy. And as long as that is completed, the cost will move towards the supply chain dynamics. As long as due diligence and accountability is close, then there is a market demand, and then your normal supply chain dynamics kick into picture, right? There is a demand, there is supply, and then there is market that is created, so your cost will automatically come down. So it's a cycle. It starts with due diligence, accountability. For accountability, we've got lots of certifications available right now.